Hello, my name's Robert. I've put together this video as a little bit of a primer just before you watch The Sound of Music. Let's get into it. When watching The Sound of Music today, it's obvious that some of the film's inbuilt contexts and histories are completely lost on a modern audience, leading to confusion and misunderstandings. So, I'll talk about some of the main chunks of historical context for this film that most people don't notice or don't realise, or maybe you're revisiting the film since seeing it as a child. The film is set in Austria at the end of the golden days of the 1930s, 1938 to be exact, meaning that the brink of World War II was literally around the corner. So there's a sort of bittersweet nostalgia with that. The last of the golden days that most Europeans ever would know ever again, putting us in a time before the horrors of the coming war affected everyone's lives. So we are in Austria. Here it is on a map. Germany above and Switzerland to the side. The film takes place in Salzburg, here in the middle. Some of us have never been to Europe, or paid attention in Year 8 geography and likely have no idea what is where around Europe. Hitler wanted Germany to become his large empire by taking over all of the neighbouring countries. The Anschluss transformed Austria and forced Austrians to live under the Nazi rule of the Third Reich. So, over the weeks and months that followed, German Nazis carried out the Nazification of all aspects of Austrian life as they knew it. It's been said that this takeover was one of the strangest invasions in history, where most Austrian civilians welcomed the change, and some did not. This went over my head, but in the film, when the town bells rang in this way, it signalled the start of the Anschluss, and that Germany is now in charge of Austria, which sets the tone for the final third of the film. Captain Georg von Trapp, yes, it's spelt George with the E taken off, was against the Anschluss because he was a proud Austrian patriot. He didn't want Austria to lose its independence and become part of Nazi Germany. Not to mention that he, like so many others, saw the Nazis as brutal oppressors and aggressors, of which he wanted no part of. When the Nazis took over Austria, they requested that Captain von Trapp take a position in the German Navy. To refuse meant fatal punishment for the entire family. Okay, that's the heavy but important stuff out of the way. So, the film was adapted from the musical stage show from 1959, and thank God they axed 3 songs when adapting it to film. One, which explained a bit more of the political climate of the day, aka There's No Way to Stop the Inevitable, and the other 2 were duets which were boring. Speaking of boring, there are a few bits in this film that really are a bit seemingly slowing down the film. Mother Superior's Climb Every Mountain votes number 1 for the song most likely to be skipped.
What is it you can't face?
I suppose the scene did give us that though. Maria and Captain's Something Good is a slow song that really could have been a lot shorter. And then there's all that at the start of the film, the establishing of the nuns in their convent. I always found it a bit dreary, though hang in there, all of these boring bits are over in a few minutes each anyway, so it could have been worse. Tell you what, if you plan a cinema screening for the 2-hour and 52-minute runtime, there is a 2-minute intermission. Not enough time to pop out to the cinema toilet in my opinion, but if you're busting, I would say a good time to go is about 2 hours in, when the captain follows Maria outside to the gazebo and they start chatting lovey-dovey. You have a good 6.5 minutes there to go to the loo while they talk and launch into the song Something Good. Not the end of the world if you miss that. A close contender for a song that is tedious is 16 going on 17. Rolf and Liesl really just go on, not to mention some of the song lyrics and themes didn't date very well. Rolf is especially annoying, pompously bragging that he knows everything and belittling Liesl. I guess filmmakers want audiences from any decade to roll their eyes at the irony of it all. At any rate, Rolf's character reminds us of the vulnerability of the young people in Austria at the time, being swept up by Nazi propaganda.
Heil Hitler!
Edelweiss, often referred to, and even a song about it,
Edelweiss.
are small, bright white, star-shaped flowers known for their delicate beauty and resilience. They grow in the harsh, rocky terrains at high altitudes and are native to Austria. In the film, they symbolise Captain Von Trapp's deep love for Austria. It's quite good that the song is eventually sung in front of the Nazis at the concert, with a room around them joining in. Referred to in the film was the Untersberg.
The Untersberg.
As a child, I had no idea what that was. The Untersberg is Salzburg's massive mountain range, and it's what you see in the opening of the film as we descend through the clouds and down the mountainside. At almost 2,000 metres tall, we really do get some stunning panoramic views and a sense of just how big the mountain range actually is. We now know from much Bridgerton watching that historically, partnered dancing was seen as the only socially accepted loophole to being intimate with someone in public. So when Maria and the captain dance together and let their feelings for each other show, no wonder the Baroness feels like Maria is coming for her gig. Although nothing is ever said about it, Uncle Max Detweiler is more than likely gay and possibly Jewish, though it's never explored. His attitudes are self-important and flippant, and he chooses not to notice the spread of Nazi infiltration around him, prioritising his career over getting involved politically. Though, in the end, he does help the family escape the Nazis, which only leaves us to wonder what will happen to him once the family has escaped. He won't likely have a happy ending. In this story, the favourite way to communicate was via telegram.
All right, you've delivered your telegram, now get out.
Which was seen as a quick, cheap and convenient method at the time.
The telegraph. S-O-S.
The telegraph was basically a texting device, travelling coded beeps and clicks long distances on electrical lines. Operators would transcribe short messages, and then messengers would deliver the telegram to the recipient in person. I guess without this in the film, Rolf is out of a job. There is also one quick mention of a very expensive to use telephone.
Yes, that's the right noise.
Though it's never shown. The only other tech is the wireless, a radio, for news, entertainment and music. And there were obviously no records or recordings of music in this house, so naturally a live orchestra played the dance songs at the grand party. The movie was shot over 5.5 months in 1964, with much of the shoot happening on the Fox Studios lot in LA, and 11 weeks on location in Salzburg, Austria. Filmmakers used the 70mm Todd AO widescreen format that captured breathtaking clarity in the landscapes and the beautiful skin tones in deluxe colour. It's these choices that have helped the film hold up over the decades. As far as the content goes, you need to remember that it's a musical film from 1965, original concept from the 1950s, which depicts the late 1930s in Austria, a time and place where kids stayed innocent for longer and they were respectful to adults. It's obvious that this is a 1960s musical film, but of which is now deemed likely the most successful and enduring of the lot. The heyday of musicals was well over by this point, and I guess its growing audiences over the decades still find something special within it. Is it a product of its time? Well, yes. But as far as musicals go, it has aged well. It's a great story with light comedic moments, and it's a visually stunning product that lives outside of the mould of the generic old Hollywood musical tropes. Tell you what, if you ever start getting bored in moments of the film, I would say just look at the scenery and colours and wonder how 1964's tech pulled it off with no CGI. That, and just listen to the stunning underscoring and orchestration for which the film won an Academy Award. We are no strangers to streaming episodic content nowadays. If you can't sit for the 2-hour, 52-minute runtime, I suggest one way of consuming this is to watch it like a 2-part special mini-series. 1 hour 42 minutes one night, and then 1 hour 10 minutes the second, nicely broken up by the intermission. Maybe the filmmakers were ahead of their time without even knowing it. Right now, in 2026, it has been 61 years since this film was first released. As time goes on, the audience it was made for, with the lived, inbuilt context and historical knowledge, is getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, help.
For most of us now, none of this lived knowledge really exists. That is why I initially made this video, as a context dump for some friends who are about to watch The Sound of Music for the first time. Or maybe you're in the same boat. Or maybe now you'll watch the film knowing what the Anschluss actually was and why. I hope you've learned something, so leave me a comment if you like. I'd like to hear what you think. Thanks for watching.